The need for self development. Let's talk about it. Now, what is self development? If I can break that down into simpler terms, I would say self development is looking to find ways and take action into becoming a better version of yourself, progressing. I want to talk about disappointment and ROI. First, let's focus on ROI. ROI, what does that stand for? Return on investment. Return on investment. What does that mean? What you invested initially, whether that be into yourself, into your business, into a business like finance, whatever that is that you invest into, over time you receive a return. Your return on investment takes time. A lot of times it takes time. If you're investing into stocks, you usually wait decades until you see the type of growth that is worth taking the money out. Let's say you deposit $50 into an account, an S&P 500. It's going to take about, who knows, 20, 30 years, 40 years for that money to grow and be worth $500,000, $1 million. You do the math on it. I'm not here to do the math. I'm letting you know what it is when it comes to return on investment for everything, not just business, not just stocks. A business, return on investment into your business. You receive profit from your business. You cut hair, you're a barber. Okay, you received some profit. The revenue, you already calculated that. Now you have profit. This money you can keep in your pocket, or you can purchase better clippers. That's a return on investment. That's going back into your business. Now, investing into yourself, that would be investing into a course. That would be mentors, investing into mentors. That's the return on investment. So self-development, you receive a return on investment. Muscles, gaining muscle, being able to do more reps in the gym, being able to lift heavy weights, going to the gym a lot more often than you would than the average person who probably never goes, working out. Your return on investment is better stamina, more muscle, higher testosterone. That's your return on investment. Your investment was taking the time out of your day to implement a routine to work out in order to build muscle. That's another return. Muscle is the return. But your investment is the time. Your investment is paying for a gym membership. Your investment is paying for a trainer. That's investing in order to receive a return that is substantial, that is worth the wait. 40 years down the line, $1 million is worth the wait. For many people, it's worth the wait. Having jacked muscles, sick body, abs, that's worth the wait. For many people, that's worth the wait. So that's what you need to focus on, your return on investment when it comes to self-development. When you're looking to improve and progress, becoming the best version of yourself each and every day, you understand that your return on investment builds over time. You see that in different aspects of life. Like I just mentioned, business, fitness, finance, you name it. Return on investment. All right, now let's go to disappointment. Disappointment. When you're looking to self-develop, you hold yourself accountable. In an earlier video that I posted, I went over setting a standard for yourself. And what happens when you don't live to that standard, you become disappointed in yourself. You feel ashamed. You're not happy with the way you've been behaving. You're not happy with the fact that you've lied to yourself, that you haven't been able to be honest. Wow. You've become unhappy because you've lied about not being honest with yourself. You've been unable to be honest. Now, disappointment. You can be disappointed in yourself for telling yourself, hey, I'm going to do 40 push-ups, and you get to 28 and your arms are shaking. Your arms are shaking. You can't even finish doing the push-ups. Now you're disappointed in yourself. You might feel a little bit motivated, but you're not happy that you couldn't reach 40. You're like, bro, I can't do 30 push-ups, not even 30, let alone 40. You're disappointed in yourself. So that disappointment, what do you do with that disappointment? You don't wallow in that disappointment and stay sad. You build off of that. Okay, I don't want to have this feeling again. Let me do more in the future. Let me continue to progress. Self-development, like I mentioned. Disappointment. Disappointment comes from setting a standard and not living up to that standard. That standard could be waking up at 6 in the morning. Instead, you get out of bed at 6:43. You're disappointed in yourself, not because you got more sleep, but because you had something set out the night before. And now it's hard to follow that. You have to kind of backtrack. You have to accommodate based on you not showing up on time. You're disappointed in yourself for doing that, for behaving that way. Self-development. Self-development is very important. And there's not too many individuals and not enough individuals who are invested and understand self-development, what that takes and what you're able to gain. What it takes is an investment, a sacrifice. That investment is a major sacrifice into the person that you've become, the person that people are familiar with, your finances. You have to cut back on certain things. You can't spend as much. You have to stay home, your social life. There's a lot of sacrifices you have to make because you're pouring more into yourself. You're pouring more into your business. You're pouring more into resources that'll help you become better, become the best version of yourself, become someone who is an inspiration to the community. That's what it's about. When it comes down to self-development, you want to be someone who people look at, who people sought after, who people can go to for advice. Ultimately, you want to become that person. It's an honor for people to go to you and want to pick your brain, and they view your word as maybe not law, but they take it into major consideration before they make a decision, before they ask somebody else who may have more authority than them, who loves them more, who's in communication with them every day, such as a friend, sibling, parent or guardian, a professor. Like, this person looks at you as a mentor, a role model, a teacher. And that's important. That's what self-development is about. You become better than the person who everybody else is familiar with, and now people can learn from you. People can take from you. That's value. And I'm all about discovering your value in order to serve a purpose to the world, sell a service, sell a product that is valuable, because the business owner, entrepreneur, serves a value, and that value must be discovered, in order to authentically sell. You could sell, you could just sell. You could sell windows, you could sell knives. People are not going to authentically feel that you really want them to serve. You don't want the product to serve a purpose in their life. You don't feel as though the product really has any value. They can tell, at least I can tell, when people have sold to me in the past, this person is not really interested in me. They just want to make some money. That's going to come off as inauthentic, and people will sniff through that. At least I will. Remember, return on investment. In order to receive a return, what do you have to do first? You must invest. That's the number one thing. You have to invest. You can't forget that. You want muscles. You want more money. Yeah, that thing's definitely going to fall. You have to invest. Disappointment. You can be disappointed in yourself as much as you want to be for not adhering to a standard, not following guidelines, this and that. What do you do with that disappointment? Build off of it. You know what that feeling is like, so you don't go down that path. You do whatever it takes for you to not feel that feeling anymore. So the need for self-development is very, very intriguing. There's a need because it's a population of people, a mass majority of people, who kind of want to get better, but at the same time they don't want to get better because they don't have enough examples of people who, and believe it or not, there's a lot of examples. They don't have enough examples, real world examples of people who they can touch, who are within reach of them, who don't look like them, who look like them. They don't have enough examples of these people who have made it, who have struggled, who have started from the bottom, people who have hit rock bottom, people who have overcome death, rejection, people who have overcome just job loss, being unemployed, people who have overcome that, people who have overcome plenty of things, addiction. They don't have enough examples of that. You hear it from actors and actresses and excuse me, athletes, maybe some business owners, but you need to be reminded of that each and every day because we're all going through our struggles. You know, we don't speak about it, but the more people who actually look to become better, look to become stoic, look to become leaders, they serve a purpose to people who are non-believers who don't see that enough. Think about little children, bro. Like, they don't know these actors and actresses and athletes and celebrities. They don't know people who, politicians and presidents, CEOs. They don't know the people who had to drop out. They don't know the people who had crumbs, who had to work as a freaking bartender in order to pay for their books. They don't know people like that. So those people become outdated. Those people, they're not in the limelight as much. We need new people. The world needs new people to develop and become the best version of themselves. When you become disappointed, move on from that disappointment. Move on from that feeling. Let that brush, you know, F it. Like, that has to pass by. You're disappointed then, you're not disappointed now. Your return on investment, invest, bro. Invest, because that return is coming. That return will be there. As long as you invest into yourself, your business, into God, continue to invest, and it'll pay off. Undoubtedly, 100%. So the need for self-development, I can't stress it enough. It's dire. Continue to develop and continue to become the best version of yourself. Serve a purpose to others. You taking that step, you becoming more, you becoming stronger, mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually. It really does serve a purpose for somebody else who's battling addiction, their struggles, they're trying to overcome things and they can't. They're in a terrible social circle. They're in a poor environment. They grew up in an environment where they know nothing but chaos, distraction, drama, drugs, you name it. People are in those environments right now, and very few of them, a select few of them, will be lucky enough to be removed from that environment and placed into a different environment where they can flourish, where they can grow. And at some point, they can get stuck and they can forget, man, like, am I even going to make it further than I did? I already made it far enough. Who's to say they can't make it further than that? You never know.